Okay, we're recording. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you today for another episode of Under Quarantine with Dr. Norcott. I'm really excited because I'm here with my really good friend and colleague, Adia Gooden. Hi, Adia.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here with you today, or at least virtually with you today.
Exactly. It feels like you're with me. Can you tell us
Good.
a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I work at the Family Institute at Northwestern University, and I am the director of community programs and outcome measurement there. So I do individual and couples therapy and do some other work around community mental health.
So I wanted to have you here because one of the things that we're living in is really uncertain times. And so because of that, anxiety really becomes apparent and becomes an issue for people. And so I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about why it's important to think and talk about anxiety right now.
I think it's important for a number of reasons. First is that our anxiety is our body's way, our body and our mind's way of telling us that we're in danger and that something is wrong. And sometimes that anxiety is founded and based on the fact that we really are experiencing a risk that could hurt us. And sometimes that anxiety is sort of not based on a real risk and is based on something we imagine or think could happen, but isn't actually threatening us. And at a time like this, when there are real risks, real health risks, financial concerns, a lot of uncertainty, it makes sense that most of us are experiencing more anxiety because we have more to worry about. And there are some things and issues that we really need to try to protect ourselves from. And so I think it's important in a time, in a crisis like this, to talk about anxiety and help people to know that if you're feeling more anxious, that's normal and understandable. And that part of that is your body and mind's way of trying to protect you.
Yeah, not all anxiety is bad. Like we feel this feeling because there's a use for it.
Exactly. You know, if your ancestors didn't feel anxiety when they saw a lion, right, then they wouldn't have run away, right? So we need this part of us that says there's danger over there, let's run away. The challenge is when we have anxiety and there's no tiger, right? There's no lion, there's nothing threatening us. And so during a time like this, we have to balance how do we protect ourselves from risks, but not become so overwhelmed with anxiety that we cannot function and we can't do the things that we need to do.
That's so important. It's like normalizing it, right? Like it's not to be ashamed that you're feeling this way.
Exactly.
So what about strategies? What are ways that when people start to feel that discomfort and that distress from anxiety, what can they do?
There are a number of things. So in the moment, if you're feeling really anxious and panicked, what I like to encourage people to do is practices that bring them back to the present, right? So often when we're feeling panicked, it's because our mind is moving way out into the future and telling us that we are going to get seriously sick and we may die. And then our body responds as though that is happening right now. And so what we need to do is bring our attention back to the present moment. And so you can do that by taking deep breaths. I know that the 4-7-8 breathing is really going on, but any sort of deep breath that allows you to breathe deep into your diaphragm, not up in your chest, but deep into your diaphragm, hold it for a moment, and then exhale, right? And you might do 10 of those deep breaths to really calm your body and your mind down. Another strategy that can be really helpful is called notice 5 things. So you just simply look around wherever you are and notice 5 things you can see. You can name them out loud or in your head. Notice 5 things you can hear. Notice 5 things that you can feel physically, and then notice all of those things together. So again, this brings your mind into the present and focuses on what is happening right now, which is that you can breathe and that you can see and that you are probably okay in this moment.
In sessions, I often say, like, we get pulled into the future because we're worried about what's going to happen, or we're in the past worried about something that's already happened. And it's important to get grounded and use some of those tools like breathing, grounding strategies to be in the present, which is really all we really have and what we can kind of manage some semblance of control over.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's another really just important piece of managing during this time is thinking about what do you have some agency or control over, right? What can you sort of work on to help lower your anxiety? And so those were some in the moment techniques. And I also encourage people to really think about, are there structures or routines that can help manage anxiety? So how can you try to make sure you're getting enough sleep? When we don't sleep well, our anxiety is more likely to increase. And when we're really anxious, it's harder to sleep. So how can you do things like, turning off your phone, turning off the TV, not watching news late at night, managing caffeine intake, not drinking a lot of caffeine after noon, maybe, to help you get good sleep and then prioritize your sleep so that can then allow your body to rest and you'll feel better for the next day.
Yes, so many of our patients that we're talking to, our clients that we're talking to, are talking about how they're going to sleep at 2 a.m. and they look up and all of a sudden it's 2, 3 a.m. and then they're sleeping during the day. And so people really underestimate how sleep impacts mood and just our ability to engage in that self-care. And so even though we're home and it feels like there's no structure, adding a routine is so important.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about, and I'm not a physician, but I'm thinking about like circadian rhythms and the fact that we're not going outside as much. So we're not really getting exposed to sunlight in the way we might normally, which can also cause this sort of shift in sleeping and waking. And so it can be really helpful to think about, when do you move your body? That's also a really great way to manage anxiety, is exercise. And it doesn't have to be super intense, but taking a walk around the block, making sure to wear a mask, getting out, getting some sunlight in the morning, doing things like that, and having structure, time when you end work, when you finish work, if you're working from home, so that it doesn't just sort of bleed into the whole evening and you're working up until you go to bed. Those sorts of structures can really help with this.
That's so helpful. And I feel like those strategies are really easy to access and they're really going to help a lot of people. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I am so excited about you as a friend because you're doing so many cool things. You're my spirit animal. You have a TED Talk that people should check out. And what's the name of the TED Talk?
Cultivating Unconditional Self-Worth.
I loved it. It was amazing. You did great. So I would love for people to catch you on that. And then also, where can people find you on your social media platforms?
I have an Instagram page, which is at Dr. Adia Gooden, and I share mental health tips and strategies that I think will help promote mental health. I also have a Facebook page. You can just search Dr. Adia Gooden, Twitter as well. And I have a website where I have a blog. I talk about anxiety, relationships, other things like that.
Like I said, spirit animal. That's amazing. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today, to be with me. And I just wish you well and stay safe. Stay sheltered in place as you do, and just take care of yourself.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking with you, and please stay safe as well.
Will do. Bye.